Did Peyton Manning, was he probably the reason why you didn't go to the playoffs? He probably told all the playoff contending teams, do not have this guy on your team. He might drop a dart route. Is it Peyton Manning's fault you didn't go to the playoffs?
No. Yes, not because of that, but because we were playing actually really good teams. You guys, man, look at y'all's schedule. Look at the Patriots schedule. Y'all didn't play. There was some of those runs y'all went on. Y'all didn't.
Hey, Brandon,
come on.
Do you know how the schedule is made?
I know. I'm just messing around.
So the schedule is made if you are the number one team in your division, you play all the other number one division teams. So you're playing all the first place teams, and then you play a different. I don't know. I'm just explaining the schedule.
No, it's not. That's not how it's done.
That's exactly how it goes.
Do you ever talk about this moment with Peyton later?
I have not spoken to Peyton about this. I saw him a couple months ago snowboarding, and we had a beer together up in Vail, Colorado. His head is so big. He had this big ass helmet on.
How messed up would that be if he tossed you a beer and you dropped it and he was just like, never again, dude. Never again.
Hey, listen, one of the things that we have to understand about these ultimate competitors, I would put Jules in there, Julian Edelman as an ultimate competitor, but like talking about some of these GOATs at the quarterback position, whether it's Tom Brady, it's Peyton Manning, they remember everything. Right? Like whether it's in practice, well,
they're not getting hit as hard as you guys are.
Listen, don't let these football players give you that excuse. Some of them just need to sit down and get some help and talk to somebody. but look, no, they're not getting hit as hard as we are. But at the end of the day, they remember everything. So I'm sure Peyton Manning remembers that. If I would have dropped that beer, I'm sure it would have came up. If he throw me a beer, after skiing and snowboarding, and I drop it, I'm sure it'll come up in discussion. But that's the reason why that moment is the reason why I started training after I got knocked out of the regular season, tough season. So I had a month to train, right, while I was watching Jules catch touchdowns and become the greatest wide receiver in playoff history. I'm out there watching, and then I'm like, oh, shit, let me go get a run in because I got the Pro Bowl, right? So that was the reason why. So now you fast forward to this moment. I think I was playing for the Miami Dolphins. What year was that, Jules?
2012. Yeah.
So 2012. And what ended up happening is, I think a lot of guys that really want it, they're searching for something great, right? They're searching for legacy. They're searching for their names to be sketched somewhere in football history or basketball history. And for me, it is tough. If I'm being honest, I'm learning to live with not making the playoffs. I'm learning to live with never, ever competing in a Super Bowl. As an athlete, as a competitor, all you want is a chance. That's all I ever wanted was a chance to get there. So for me, it's like, okay, who am I as an individual? I want to be one of the greatest wide receivers, right? When you talk about, me and my place as a selfish player, but as a team, what do I want to accomplish? I would love, some of my team goals was, of course, Super Bowl, multiple Super Bowls, right? And then also I looked at these quarterback wide receiver duos. I wanted to be, the next Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. Like I studied them, right? I looked at their stats. I have this beautiful picture of Jay Cutler and after our first touchdown, and our heads are together. And I said, okay, now we have 120 more. And basically before that game, our very first touchdown, I walked up to him. I said, yo, let's go crush Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison, what they've been able to do as a dynamic duo, right? Playing against Seattle, I think it was like Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, 77-yard touchdown, boom, come together in the end zone. And we shared this moment. It's this beautiful picture. It's a beautiful painting. So anyways, I walk into the stadium that year, all right? I'm in Hawaii and knocked out of the playoffs again.
Aloha Stadium.
Oh, my goodness. Aloha Stadium, a lot of greats was there. And another cool story is I actually was the MVP of the Hula Bowl my senior year in college. Yeah, so it's like Hawaii's always been a special
2006,
place.
11 passes for 210 yards, 3 touchdowns at Aloha Stadium?
You look,
Aloha Stadium.
Look, you did your work. Yes.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? That just popped up in my head. You didn't remember that? You didn't remember that?
Oh, I remember.
The Aloha Bowl? Keep going. I'm sorry for interrupting.
So I walk into the stadium pregame. I didn't even walk in the locker room yet. And I look up and they have all these other MVPs up there. So if you actually do a quick search, maybe Jay right now or someone out there, I know Sam might be somewhere behind the screen, all the MVPs of the Pro Bowl. But I look up and you see Jerry Rice. I think you may have seen Chris Carter, maybe a John Elway or something. I'm like, oh my goodness, those are legends. I said, I want that. So I walked in, I saw that, and I, went through that month of training because I didn't want Peyton Manning or whoever to look at me like that again. And I went up to Coach Coobs, who was our head coach. Coach Coobs at the time was at the Houston Texans, and their coaching staff, were coaches for the Pro Bowl. And I said, hey, Coach Coobs, I'm going to go get MVP. He said, okay, I got you. And so what we were doing is I go out there. He's like, hey, B, you want to come run this double route? I was like, yeah, no problem. Hey, B, you want this go route? Yep, no problem. Hey, B, you want this fade route? Yep, no problem. And it was just a magical moment. Even there was one catch. If you look at it, it was like tipped 3-4 times. Yeah. I'm laying on the ground. I kick it up. It was like a poor man's Julian Edelman Super Bowl catch, right? But it was dope, right? It was one of those moments like, how the hell did that happen? It's magical. And so it was pretty cool. But the biggest takeaway from that is like when you lock in, when you say I'm gonna do something, right? You have a better chance of doing it, right? Like if you say it, you write it down, you believe it, you have a good chance of doing it. And it's all about mindset. It's all about, how you approach things. You got to be positive. The same thing like Jules talked about, there's been a couple of games where I had 10 catches, 15 catches, 18 catches, 21 catches. My greatest game ever, this is the greatest game ever because we're on games with names, but a legendary game playing against the Colts, I had 21 catches. And I go out there right before the game. I walk up to Michael Smith, who was on ESPN at the time. I'm like, hey, now he's at Paramount Plus. I'm like, hey, Mike, I'm letting you know right now that this is going to be the best game that I've ever played. And then I go out there and have 21 catches. So I say that to say this is like.
You should have said that every week.
Damn, you're right.
That would have been crazy.
Dang, I
this
might have
guy's
been
averaging
in the Super
21
Bowl.
catches a game.
I might have been in the Super Bowl if I said it every week.
Dude, I just figured out you could be like Jesus. Whatever you think happens.
Wow. I you know what? I want to be right there sitting next to you guys.